Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking to Professor V Indiresan, former Director of IIT Madras. He is a recipient of Padma Bhushan and he is a past President of Indian National Academy of Engineering. Mrs. Indiresan is also an accomplished professional on women's studies and has taught at University of Michigan Ann Arbor. She lends a great support to PURA as well. PURA, which means Provision of Urban Amenities in Rural Areas, in short, involves constructing a 30 to 40 kilometer ring road linking villages with fast and frequent bus services. Professor Indiresan's plan involves constructing a ring road as against a traditional crisscross development. That, I believe, cuts down the cost of infrastructure by half, even public utility cost and maintenance cost, everything by half. According to him, except for the construction of the road, the rest of the project can support by itself without governmental support. President Abdul Kalam has strongly supported this and he keeps talking about it in all his speeches. The Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has even allocated substantial funding for this in the current budget. HUDCO, which leads the housing development in India, has committed 30 to 50 crore rupees for every PURA constructed. Chhattisgarh seems to be the first one taking the steps to construct the first PURA in the country. So without much ado, let's hear what Professor Indiresan and Mrs. Indiresan have to say. Welcome, Professor Indiresan. What is PURA? What do you want to tell us about the PURA?
PURA is the acronym for Providing Urban Amenities in Rural Areas. As its name implies, you would like to make rural areas as attractive as cities are by providing all the amenities that usually cities have but not villages. In this manner, it will be possible to reduce the cost of development very substantially by more than 50%, and therefore it has a double benefit, in fact multiple benefit, of A, reducing the cost, and B, developing the rural areas, C, reducing the rural urban migration, and above all, creating a large number of jobs for surplus farm labor who are not able to get regular jobs these days.
I know, Professor, you said this plan is part of the Vision 2020 that the government of India is keen to implement. That is making India a developed country by 2020. You said in your talk today, you mentioned about making the infrastructure around in a circular construction that will reduce the cost of infrastructure. And how popular is this gaining in India now, and at what stage is this project in now?
Basically, PURA involves the construction of a ring road linking a number of villages and then running frequent bus services. When it is done, then any business on this ring road sees a customer base of all the entire population of all the villages on the ring road. That may be about 50,000-60,000 people. So instantly it becomes a virtual town and can support cinemas, hospitals, English medium schools and so on. So this gives a new business opportunity. This idea has been strongly supported by President Kalam for the past 3 years. At every possible opportunity, he has been recommending it. He is recommending it during his Republic Day speech, when he goes abroad and so on. It has now been accepted by the Government of India also, and a separate paragraph was included in the budget speech of Finance Minister Mr. Chidambaram, and about 2,000 crores of rupees have been set apart for starting 20 PURAs this year. The project has been taken up also by the Chhattisgarh government, where the Chief Minister has said he will see to it that the first PURA will come in his state.
So if this PURA project takes over, then we could stop somewhat the migration to the cities, and the local rural people will be empowered to have their own jobs in their backyard, and that will help manage the country better in terms of resources. Disparities between urban and rural areas is likely to reduce, and then reducing the social tension and also lessening the strain on the infrastructure. That's the concept, isn't it?
That is the basic idea, that we should have our development equitably distributed all over the country, so that you do not have only a few places where the modern amenities are there and the rest of the country languishing in poverty. To equalize this is the main purpose, and Pura is one technology, one technique by which we can uh, prevent most of the rural urban migration that is taking place, and in fact even reverse migration can occur when people find it comfortable to stay in a village, as it happens in the United States when they go to suburbs.
I would like to bring in Mrs. Indiresan. She has been a professional in her own right, and she has taught women's studies at University of Michigan Ann Arbor. So she was somewhat of a local flavor for us. So welcome, Mrs. Indiresan.
Thank you.
And what is your perspective from your background on this Pura project?
I have, in addition to my interest in women's development, I also looked into the problems of rural people in rural areas. What I find is that there are a lot of educated people in rural areas, and they migrate to the cities because they can't find jobs in the villages, and the many villagers have talked to me and said, please set up a factory or some income generating activities for our children, so that our children don't leave us in this old age and go away, and they can stay with us, and the village will also prosper very much. And I think Pura is a very good scheme by which non-farm jobs can be created for educated youth in the villages. That way we can stop people from moving from villages into the cities.
It's always nice to have the husband and wife team working together. It gives two different perspectives and also support each other in this effort. So it's very nice to see you also actively taking part in this. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Tamil Amudam, weekly radio program in Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor area. It comes to you live on air at 1460 AM every Sunday at 5 PM and online at wpon.com. We are talking to Padma Shri, Professor P.V. Indiresan, on his grand venture Pura, providing urban amenities in rural areas of India. Professor Indiresan, I would like to ask a couple of more questions. You got an army of people that you have educated and trained. So many of us want to help India and help India prosper. One thing that has been bothering us is the corruption and how the money and the resources will be fully reach the poor. How far you're trying to manage that aspect of making sure that the money actually reaches the projects?
Oh, the Pura project is so designed that corruption is as little as possible. I'll give you an instance. When you open ration shops for giving cheap rice to the poor, most of this can be stolen and they may not reach the poor at all. But in the case of Pura, we will have good bus services. This cannot be stolen by the rich. It will be used always by the poor. We will have good street lights. This also cannot be stolen by the rich. It will be available for the poor. Good water supply. These are the kinds of things that will come under Pura, and these are so designed and of such a characteristic that there will be very little corruption and the poor will definitely be benefited by it.
That's certainly nice to hear. And as non-resident Indians and also as former students of yourself, there are many of us who want to participate in this kind of effort. In what ways you think we can contribute to the success of Pura?
You can do it in several ways. One is you help to publicize this concept both within United States and also in India, because in India also we need more publicity, and if people there realize that this idea has been accepted by the experts here in the United States, they will tend to support it better than they will otherwise. So your support, even merely encouragement from your side, will have a great value. That is number one by which you can do so. The second one is this: you can send some of your teams, and especially if you are in a university, organize a research program to analyze how this program is functioning, how it can be improved, and that will be of great value. And thirdly, you can, when these projects come up, make your own small investment, whatever you can, big or small. That also will be a useful thing to do.
Create jobs.
That will create jobs.
Sure, we'll certainly look into that. And there, like I said, for the viewers, this is at the concept stage, and the very first Pura is in the stage of construction in Chhattisgarh, and the advertisements are out to solicit investment in that area. So we can feel free to get creative in terms of what we can do and how we can help. And Professor Indiresan will always be available to help us guide through the process. Thank you, Professor Indiresan, for your time today. And thank you, Mrs. Indiresan, for your time today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help.